Here, last week, we saw a demo from Antoine about the Monaco editor, and we talked about the pager in the admin theme, how to configure it. Today, demo.
Yes, I may have a demo.
Yes. Topics. Two-piece. No. Two-piece. And even when I say two-piece, it says two-piece. Oh my God. If I read the transcript, every sentence is a new sentence. It's beautiful. I will stop reading. Topics, nothing. We'll see later. So, status. Portrait call. Portrait one. I don't think we've mentioned anything. Lots of branches. Dependabot. So this guy is waking up. What's happening? What is this thing? Or maybe it was always active, but due to the recent changes about the versions, something happened. I have to check. Interesting. Matteo created 2 branches, locked down disable users and things, but we didn't mention anything last week. What should call dev branch. Dev branch here. Whoa, nothing. So upgrade the SQL, we talked about it. mkdocs, credits, NodaTime 305. Yeah, that was a bad copy paste. NodaTime 305. Do not display setup recipes in admin. Okay. Media. Interesting. Oh, just, yeah. Bible name. Comparison instead of assignment, so fixing that. Typo. Move Autoroute RemovePart to content handler. Move Autoroute RemovePart to content handler.
So mostly just refactoring a couple of things there to do it, because the auto index is also a content handler, and JT and I felt it was better to do the work in the handler rather than the handler part of it, rather than the index part of it.
Login validation message. If user not null that, otherwise invalid login attempt. If the user is null, Okay. Oh, okay. If anything here didn't succeed, then issue. Okay.
Yeah, because the validation message was not displayed anymore.
Interesting. Should be a functional test. That's an easy one because it's easy to create something that is wrong and just expect a message. Fixed deployment registration. Deployment started. Okay, some things were not. Oh, different feature. Oh, depending on deployment. Okay, so this is in the roles. Okay, yeah. Require features. Okay, makes sense. Yeah. Actually, it's a copy paste, but we don't need to inherit from that now. Just inherit from nothing and have that will work also. That's it. All good. Those right questions, comments? Beautiful. Demo.
Yeah. So I'd like to open a discussion and make a demo about a PR I created recently about how we can delete a tenant, an existing tenant. So at first, the idea is just to be able to, if you have a SQLite instance database, to be able to delete the folder in the sites folder and to remove it from the shell settings. So I have multiple tenants.
Why would you have multiple tenants?
So let's say I have a new one. An agency, SQLite, create. So if I set up it, the tenant is set up. So we have, let me open the folder, app data, sites. So we have a tenants.json that contains the shell settings to say that the tenant is running, and we have a sites folder with the name of the tenant, a SQLite DB, media folders, and a few files. So if you want to remove this tenant, I added a delete button, and we will have to remove the folder and remove the shell settings in the tenants.json file. So confirm button. Are you sure you want to delete this tenant? Okay. And the result is that the folder is deleted and the tenants.json, the shell settings are removed from this .json file. So that's just the beginning, because if you want to go to finish this PR, we will have to handle the SQL databases. So sometimes you can have one SQL database and specify the prefix. So if you want to remove a tenant, we will have to delete all the tables with the prefix. If we configured some external media storage or config in database, we will also have to remove from the SQL or from the blob storage. So we will need to implement those methods to delete the corresponding shell settings configurations and shell settings sources. So that was the idea in this issue. So Mark from Longbeak tried to list the requirements, and
I think I will know what I will say. That that we need an event to destroy something and to have everything, every module to answer to this event. What did I write?
Yeah, that's in the discussion now.
Yeah, because even deleting a database, I mean, we will never delete the database because we don't create it. So we can delete it.
Drop table.
We can do the drop table, but it means, I mean, it should be a migration.
Yeah, that's why we would like maybe implement the uninstall method in the migrations by modules, be able to clean the uninstall all the.
Each module has a migration file with steps. They just need one step, not downgrade from. They just need remove. They need the table set up. Okay, yeah, and I think that's there already. So there is a migration install, and there is, and I suggested also the event on the tenant to.
Yes, we need to release all the possible locks. Let's say locks. Jean-Thierry commented about.
And the media. So just an event to say the tenant is about to be deleted. Every module should do whatever they need to.
The scopes.
Yeah, scopes. Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes you will have it on a distributed environment.
Yeah, we just need. Yeah, we need an event, and we need modules to implement that. As long as modules won't implement that, there will be issues. Same time, if a module doesn't implement an install, that's fine. I mean, they don't delete the data, and the data is not lost. So that's fine too. That's also super dangerous because you completely delete the data. So
yeah, that's why it's black.
I don't know, maybe, is there an option to just say, well, it's destroy. Okay, there is disable. Okay, and delete. Okay, no, I delete it. It can delete as much as it will delete as much as it can. Okay, like the media and everything from the media module. So yeah, did you create an event for the tenant to destroy the tenant?
Not yet. Not yet.
You can create an event to do that. The same way there is the tenant activation. Maybe it should be in the same. It can be in the same interface. The one that says like starting or setting up. I don't remember. There is I tenant activating or I tenant event, something like that. So maybe
when I was doing this, I was thinking about maybe we could have some kind of backup strategy to have a way to say, okay, I want to have a backup of my tenant at this time, and I don't know. I don't remember if in Orchard one you have some kind of backup folder.
Maybe, but yeah, it's just deployment, just in the deployment plan to do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Good idea.
And and if it's something generic like any module can implement to backup everything, that could be another event or custom step, but yeah, it might be easier to maintain than creating a custom plan, but you can already do that with a custom plan. Obviously, a simple button, backup, restore, delete, might be easy as long as all the modules implement it. I know, but that is replicating all the logic we have for every module for the export. Because would you use a backup to clone a tenant? What happens if you restore a backup on a tenant that already exists? All these things that are handled by deployment. So maybe just use deployment or create some steps that make it easier to back up some things. But destroy.
Potentially there could be some kind of an event that modules could fire when they start up to add to a deployment plan. So that your deployment plan, like your backup deployment plan, for example, just keeps growing as you turn things on. Because it is a little tricky to build a deployment plan that
covers everything.
Covers everything. Yeah, like it takes a lot of work, and then you've got to debug it to make sure it does actually do everything. It could be an interesting feature.
So that could be a feature of the deployment plan of import and export.
Yeah, modules could just kind of implement an activation, one of the activating events to kind of say that it's starting, and the deployment plan could pick up on it in some way. It was something like that. Could work.
Or what about having a custom event where? So today we have steps, and we can add steps to a plan. So an event that any module could provide steps to it. And this way you don't configure the plan. You just, when you back up, the system will emit an event to say, hey, all the modules, give me a step to back up. And this way, all the modules will provide the backup step based on their existing steps. So they just written steps like we will do for an export, but it's not from a UI. It's just, okay, I gathered all the steps and I will execute them. And you will get a file from that. That might be easier. So you don't have to create custom logic for backup. You can just be based on steps, but you don't have to know what steps to use because the module will tell you what steps to use with what parameters. So yeah, backup, yeah, that might be a feature, not a feature in terms of Orchard feature, but yeah, a service that will, an event that will be triggered to gather steps from all the modules to do a backup. So don't say use deployment plan in order to backup a site, but yeah, it's deployment. It's a dynamic deployment plan that is provided by all the modules. So modules can provide as many steps as they want for a backup.
Yeah, I mean, most modules or most steps have the concept of all or something, so it could be configured.
The concept
they
of
can
what?
configure themselves. Of, say, with content items, you know, you have options there on the step for getting particular content types, or you generally have an option for all content types.
Yeah.
So they're easy enough to configure for that module to configure a step and say, well, this is how you get everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. First, because we can reuse the steps that exist already. And second, because this is a common way for any module, even if they don't have any step yet, to provide some logic for exporting data. So that's better to do that this way. We don't have to display the list of steps, but we don't have to. And just run it, and then you have a file, or it can be backed up on something else, like a remote machine, whatever. And the UI, when you create a deployment plan, you can also create a backup plan, or create a backup, and then it will just create dynamically the new plan. Not save it, but just then run it. It should be easy to do. It's just an event, and every module can return a step. So it's not
specify a target. So, for example, another backup folder.
Exactly, yeah. So you still need to provide the target, so in the UI, but you don't provide a source because the source is dynamic.
Okay.
Instead of being static from an existing deployment plan.
At the same time, wouldn't that be easier to just have like backup plans from SQL Server or things like that? I know that we have a lot of different database providers, but if we just like back up the tables that have the right prefixes,
then
things like that.
As a developer, you can do that if you want. Store your file system, store your database.
Yeah.
And that's your problem. If you want to provide something at the Autoroute level, it has to be using the steps, because it can be anything. Users from a different database, content items, whatever storage you have, file system, shared drive, Azure Blob Storage, it can be anything. So we can't say, no, we have SQL Server. No, we have Azure Blob Storage, we have file system, we have shared drive, we have, I don't know, Lucene, Elasticsearch, all these things. The only common denominator is Autoroute. So if you prefer to do it by yourself, do it by yourself. Otherwise, the solution in Autoroute is to use backup plan.
Yeah, it's more fine-tuned like this way. Yeah. I'm just worried that it will take more time to do those backups.
Probably.
But
yeah. If you can do it by yourself, I suggest do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Do your own SQL Server database backup and restore it. Maybe that's just what you need to backup, the database, and then be able to restore it when you need it, and that's it. And do another one for the, I don't know, blob storage, and then you're done. Blob storage and database. Maybe that's what you need. Then you don't need the backup button or action. Oh, you mean the workflow also, workflow to be able to automate the backup. And just that we know that this can be great for people to back up their site automatically. And for the delete, should it be the same? Maybe it should be the same way. Maybe actually, so if you think a backup and then you think a deletion of a tenant, then you can think of a deletion same way as a list of steps, but in this case, it will delete all the content items, it will delete all the tables, all the files. So this can also be seen as deployment. Maybe, I don't know if it's a deployment step, but it's kind of the same thing. Like everyone can provide something to do to delete the tenant. Maybe it's not the deployment step, maybe it's just as we said, the event and the tenant lifetime, and then that's it. And then there will be the uninstall migration which will be part of it, or the media module that will also be part of it. Yeah, it's not based on steps, but still an event on the tenant at the tenant level.
Yeah, I guess the difference is it's not really producing anything, where the steps produce something, but in deletion it's.
And we can compose the steps to delete a tenant. There is nothing to compose. It's destructive, so it's done once and in full. Nothing to reuse there. Okay, yeah. Cool. What else? Questions? Topics? Nance, what's new? The new sites?
I'm working on new sites. I'm also working on a new theme using Tailwind.
You want to show it?
I can, just the beginning, but I have something working. Okay, let me share again. Oh, okay. It's a random image, not my fault. You see, it was a pure coincidence. You didn't see anything. So I tried to implement this blog template, Tailwind blocks template. So if you, I don't know if you know about Tailwind, but it's a CSS. It's a bit verbose in your CSS classes, but it allows you to make to customize the rendering as you want. You see on the left and on the right, you add CSS classes, and you are able to handle the margins, the colors, the display, the font size, etc., etc. And so I try to make a blog template with this theme. So it's just a list of blogs, a sidebar on the right, and the post details. Oh yeah, and today I managed to use the custom user settings, so maybe I can show this. If I go to the admin, I will be able to change some custom settings for the theme. Let me disable localization, or it will be in French. So settings. So
you can have localization enabled and have it in English. Just set the language to English.
Yeah. Yeah. So I tried to use custom theme settings to be able to add a picture. So it's a white picture. To be able to change the top bar style, the header style, and the style of the nav bar.
The admin settings meaning the admin, so the theme settings. The theme here has custom properties. How did you do that?
I used custom settings.
Custom settings. So the theme itself creates a custom setting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Type that has the custom setting.
So I changed the style of the top bar.
And you use text box. Okay.
Yes. Okay, and I used the feature users, custom user settings, and enabled the feature, and I defined a profile content type with the custom user settings stereotype, and I added the fields, the media field to specify a logo and an HTML field in WYSIWYG editor for the description of the user. So when I edit a user, there is a profile tab.
Wow.
I can upload a picture and select it in the media library. I can change. Disable the sanitizer, but when I save, you see when I switch between source and preview.
Why isn't that?
It's not the sanitizer. It's font awesome.
Oh, font awesome because of the icon. It's injecting the SVG.
Yeah, it's trying to translate it as an SVG. So probably it passes in the JavaScript and then tries to render it as an SVG. And now yeah.
And then and does it mess up with the raw HTML?
Normally it should display fine though, because I mean the SVG is fine too.
But is what I see here, is that just the DOM or is that actually in database?
It's in database.
Yeah, it's in the database because
that's bad.
Yeah.
And this is because on the admin we are using font awesome. So we have the JavaScript and it will change it.
Yeah, maybe we could disable the font awesome icons displayed in SVG and just keep the fonts. There's a difference there though that we need to check if we can have all the icons. I'm not sure.
Okay. Cool.
And as I mentioned, there are multiple zones in the theme, so I am able to change what I have in the head section, in the top bar, in the nav bar, header, before content, after content, footer. I don't know why I have full script. And there is a sidebar and a top bar. So you are able to say, I want to change the top bar, edit it. GitHub, and I am able to change the footer, of course, and I can change the about what you see in the about. Here I can change the footer. And what was I thinking of? Oh yeah, maybe if I want to enable the archives, I made a query. I made a liquid widget. So the liquid widget, I will add it to the blog layer. So previously it was in the never, so it was never displayed. If I display it, so it's an archives query, and for each archive, I will display the number of blog posts per month. So maybe I can show you the query. The query archives is, you see, like this. Per month, per year, the number of posts, because there is the count of ID group by month and year. Content type equals blog post, published equals true, ordered by descending year and month. So I am able to display this list of archives. So I will publish it and will refresh it. There is the archive widget, and there is a link to an archives page. And the archives page is a liquid page in which I list
the same query.
Yeah, not exactly the same. The archives. There is a contents query to display all the blog posts, and it's ordered by date descending.
If only we had templated Autoroute. Dean.
I think you're talking to Sitka, who's not here.
No, I talked to you.
I'm sure he promised to do it.
Maybe.
Wouldn't that be nice, though?
Even more for that. We should ask Jean-Thierry to do it. He knows Autoroute. That's great. Looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So it will be on NuGet eventually?
No, it's not going to be on NuGet.
What? Oh, okay.
Elsewhere.
That's okay.
It will be available elsewhere.
That's fine. We'll link to the elsewhere. Thank you. Anything else? Any topics, questions? Okay, well, that will be a short one then. Today happens. Sometimes it's over the hour, sometimes before the hour. So if there is no more questions, then we'll end the meeting. Next one will be triage on Thursday, and the one after next Tuesday. There's no problem with that. So thanks everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.